Have you ever been caught in a spiral of negative thoughts that just won't go away? What if I told you that you have the power to stop them before they even take hold? Imagine being able to kill those negative thoughts in their tracks. How much more peaceful and productive would your life be? Today, I'm going to show you how to use a powerful philosophy to take control of your mind and kill those negative thoughts for good. Negative thoughts. Everyone experiences them. They creep in when you least expect it, turning your calm into chaos. But the real question is, how do you deal with them? How do you break free from the cycle of self-doubt and fear? Today, we're going to explore Stoicism and how its teachings can help you not just manage, but eliminate negative thinking from your life. It's about shifting your mindset, using simple yet powerful tools that will make you stronger, calmer, and more resilient in the face of challenges. Introduce the problem/challenge. If you're anything like most people, negative thoughts are a regular part of your mental landscape. They pop up at the worst times. When you're about to make a big decision, start something new, or try to take control of your life. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if I make a fool of myself? These are the kinds of thoughts that pull us into self-doubt and hold us back. But why do we keep having them? And more importantly, how do we stop them from taking over? Negative thoughts have a way of sneaking into our minds and making us feel like we're stuck in an endless loop of self-criticism. It feels as though they're almost inevitable, doesn't it? But the truth is, these thoughts don't have to define you. They don't have to control you. Today, we'll break down how to kill negative thoughts before they take root and how to stop them from sabotaging your peace. Exploration/development. 1. Recognizing that negative thoughts are out of your control. The first step to killing negative thoughts is understanding that they are not inherently yours. In Stoic philosophy, there's a concept known as a dichotomy of control, the idea that some things are in our control and others are not. What we can control are our actions and reactions, not external events or circumstances. Negative thoughts often arise from situations we cannot control. Someone says something hurtful, you fail at a task, or things don't go as planned. These things can trigger self-doubt and negative thinking. But what we can control is how we respond to those thoughts. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, reminds us it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The thought that follows an external event is within your control. You don't have to accept every thought as truth, especially when it's negative. 2. Practicing mindfulness and self-awareness. The next crucial step is mindfulness. Many of us go through life on autopilot, letting our thoughts run wild without even realizing it. The first part of killing negative thoughts is becoming aware of them in the first place. If you're constantly running through worst-case scenarios or criticizing yourself, how can you stop it if you don't even notice it's happening? Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, famously said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Negative thoughts are often based on imagined scenarios that are not grounded in reality. Mindfulness helps you stop and question these thoughts before they spiral out of control. Instead of reacting automatically, you pause, observe the thought, and ask yourself, is this true? Is it real? Is it helpful? By practicing mindfulness, you begin to detach from negative thoughts and simply observe them as passing mental events, rather than accepting them as reality. The key here is realizing that just because you have a thought doesn't mean you need to act on it. 3. Reframing negative thoughts into constructive ones. One of the most powerful tools in Stoic philosophy is reframing. Reframing is about changing the way you view a situation. Instead of seeing a challenge as something that's going to break you, you can reframe it as an opportunity for growth. Instead of seeing a failure as something catastrophic, you can see it as a lesson in resilience. Take, for example, a negative thought like, "I'll never be good enough." Instead of accepting that as truth, reframe it to, "I may not be perfect, but I'm doing my best, and I can always improve." This is how the Stoics viewed difficulties. Not as roadblocks, but as opportunities to strengthen their character. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, famously said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." When you reframe negative thoughts, you start to see obstacles as stepping stones to growth, not as things that defeat you. 4. Accepting imperfection and embracing growth. A lot of negative thoughts stem from our unrealistic expectations of ourselves. We want to be perfect in everything we do, and when we're not, we beat ourselves up. But the Stoics taught us that perfection is not the goal, growth is. As humans, we will always have imperfections, and that's okay. The key is not to strive for perfection, but to aim for continuous improvement. Seneca said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." You don't need to be perfect to succeed. You just need to be willing to keep going, learning, and growing. Negative thoughts often arise when we feel like we've failed at something, but we need to remind ourselves that failure is simply a part of the process. It's how we rise from it that matters most. 5. Negative visualization. Preparing for the worst. Another Stoic tool that can help you kill negative thoughts is negative visualization. It may sound strange, but this technique involves imagining the worst-case scenario. The goal isn't to make you feel worse, but to reduce the fear and anxiety that often accompanies negative thoughts. For example, if you're afraid of failing in a job interview, imagine what would happen if you did fail. What's the worst outcome? Would you be able to find another opportunity? Would you learn from the experience and do better next time? By mentally preparing yourself for the worst, you realize that even the worst-case scenario is often not as bad as it seems. In fact, you may even find that you're stronger than you thought. By facing your fears head-on, you remove their power over you. Negative visualization is about seeing fear for what it truly is, a product of your mind, and taking the power back. 6. Taking action to break the cycle of negative thoughts. The most effective way to stop negative thoughts is to take action. Often, we feel stuck in a cycle of negativity because we're waiting for the right time to act or the perfect conditions to arise. But Stoicism teaches us that action is the antidote to anxiety. When we take action, even small steps, we break the cycle of overthinking and doubt. Instead of sitting and thinking about your fears, take the first step. It doesn't have to be a big leap. Just doing anything, gets you out of your head and into motion. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Your thoughts are not fixed. You can choose how to respond to them, and you can choose to take positive action in the face of them. 7. Distinguishing between what you think and what is. A major source of negative thinking comes from confusing our thoughts with reality. Just because you think something doesn't make it true. For example, you might think, "I'm not good enough," but that's just a thought, it's not a fact. The Stoics remind us that our thoughts are not always accurate reflections of reality. Epictetus taught, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." This means that it's not the events themselves that upset us, but how we interpret them. The next time a negative thought enters your mind, ask yourself, is this thought based on facts, or is it just a mental story I'm telling myself? By distinguishing between your thoughts and objective reality, you'll find it easier to dismiss the thoughts that are irrational or unhelpful. This mental discipline helps you break free from the grip of negative thoughts, because you begin to see them as mere suggestions, not truths. 8. The power of perspective. Negative thoughts often arise when we focus too narrowly on a particular problem or failure, blowing it out of proportion. But when you take a step back and look at the bigger picture, you often realize that what seemed like a major issue is actually quite small in the grand scheme of things. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminds himself of the vastness of the universe in his meditations, saying, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He's encouraging us to take a broader perspective and recognize that most of our daily struggles are temporary and insignificant when compared to the bigger picture of our lives. By zooming out and considering how little today's worries will matter a year from now, you'll find that many of your negative thoughts simply melt away. Perspective is a powerful antidote to negativity. 9. Limiting exposure to negative influences. We often forget how much our environment shapes our thoughts. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, whether it's negative people, news, or content, it's no surprise that you'll have more negative thoughts. One of the Stoic practices is to limit exposure to toxic influences. Seneca advised against spending too much time with those who are overly cynical or pessimistic, as their negativity can rub off on you. In modern life, this can extend to what you consume on social media, the news, or even entertainment. If you're finding that certain platforms, people, or content are filling your mind with negativity, it's time to create some distance. By being mindful of the influences around you, you can create a more positive mental environment where negative thoughts are less likely to thrive. 10. Using affirmations to counter negative thoughts. Negative thoughts often stem from deeply ingrained beliefs about ourselves. Beliefs like, I'm not capable or I'm a failure. To kill these thoughts at the root, one technique you can use is positive affirmations. Affirmations are statements that you repeat to yourself to reprogram your mind. Instead of letting negative thoughts run on autopilot, you consciously replace them with positive, empowering ones. For example, if you often think, I'll never succeed, replace that with, I'm learning and growing every day, and I will succeed through persistence. Over time, these affirmations begin to reshape your inner dialogue, making it harder for negative thoughts to take hold. Affirmations might feel unnatural at first, but with consistent practice, they can become a powerful tool to shift your mindset from negative to positive. 11. Cultivating patience and acceptance. Another key Stoic principle that helps to eliminate negative thoughts is patience. Negative thoughts often arise when we're frustrated or impatient, when we want something to happen now or in a specific way, and it doesn't. But the Stoics remind us to be patient and accept that some things are beyond our control. Epictetus said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." This is a reminder that impatience often stems from an unrealistic expectation that things should happen on our timeline. When we cultivate patience and learn to accept delays, setbacks, and challenges as part of the process, we're less likely to fall into negative thinking. Patience helps us embrace the present moment without frustration or resistance, making it easier to maintain a positive, focused mindset. 12. Practicing compassion towards yourself. Finally, to truly kill negative thoughts, you must learn to practice self-compassion. Many negative thoughts are a result of being overly harsh on ourselves. We criticize, judge, and tear ourselves down in ways we would never do to others. The Stoics teach us to treat ourselves with the same kindness and compassion that we would offer a friend. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Instead of being your own harshest critic, practice being your own supporter. When negative thoughts about yourself arise, gently remind yourself that you are human, and making mistakes is a natural part of life. By practicing self-compassion, you give yourself the space to learn and grow without the heavy burden of self-criticism. This doesn't mean avoiding responsibility. Rather, it means learning to see your mistakes as part of the journey, not as a reflection of your worth. Climax/key moment. In the end, killing negative thoughts is about mastering your mind and taking control of your reactions. Negative thoughts may arise, but they don't have to stay. By applying these Stoic principles, gratitude, perspective, limiting negative influences, affirmations, patience, and self-compassion, you build resilience against negativity and cultivate a stronger, more peaceful mind. Conclusion/summary. Negative thoughts are inevitable, but they don't have to define your experience. By using these 12 strategies grounded in Stoicism, you can take back control of your mind, kill those negative thoughts, and replace them with a mindset that fosters growth, resilience, and peace. Call to action, 10 seconds max. If you found these insights helpful, make sure to subscribe and join us for more content on mastering your mind and living a better life.